Is there really a difference in quality between new and used RVs? Well, I asked an RV inspector. Welcome to the channel. I'm Liz. I have been doing videos about RV dealers and RV manufacturers to bring about much needed change in the RV industry. Today, I interview an RV inspector to get her take on RV quality.
If I'm looking at something that's, say, from 2005, an older motorhome that has a really good reputation and it was well cared for, the quality is outstanding. I will see some of these new RVs having more problems than I ever did with the used RVs. Now, I could talk about that the positive side that I see, and that, like with this new Brinkley coming out on the market, they've been listening to the people out there that they need something that is more quality, and I'm seeing that in Brinkley. It just seems like that is the latest thing that I have seen, where aside from an older motorhome that I look at that seems very sturdy and quality, I don't have a lot of positive to say about how they're being built now. It's actually, if you want to say compared to 2012, it hasn't been better. It's gotten worse. You know, I had a friend that, and I won't name any names, but he's in Elkhart, and he has worked in the industry for many, many years. And he basically talks about that the new companies have a higher quality until they get bought out. And then these investment groups are getting in, they want more production, they want more profit, and then it starts again. And when the manufacturers become these, he said, commodities, their suppliers have to become commodity based, and so everything gets built cheaper from China or Taiwan. Engineers in the RV industry no longer engineer new products, they engineer cheaper products. So this is kind of was his take on what happens out there and why these things shift. They start out being made really well, and then these other companies buy them out and they move to cheaper products that break more often, and they don't work out as well. I have some stories of inspections. I see loose bolts. I had jacks being retracted and the bolt was completely out of it, and it made a scraping sound. You see things like, I mean, it can be simple things. It can be loose wiring. You can get voltage on the RV. You can have GFCIs that aren't working correctly. So all that electrical stuff. You can see loose plumbing, and then you like I do a test on the water where I'm filling up the sink and then allowing it to drain, and you'll see water dripping out because the connections aren't even tight. So a lot of these things happen when they're new. They really, a lot of times people will say, yeah, give it 2 years because they get all the bugs worked out. Well, that's true. When you first get an RV, you're taking it down the road, that's when you find out everything that's wrong. So as an inspector, I'm going in there and I'm running the slides in and out, and sometimes you can have a slide that's misaligned. And another biggie is the sealant. Even with new RVs, they're slapping on that sealant so fast. And when I go up there, I will see that because as it dries, it can start to create holes already and cracks. I will see that there's already maybe a little bubble or a little hole in the sealant or a missed part around something. Well, that can cause the catastrophic damage to it. You could have one little hole in the sealant because it was missed, and then all of a sudden you have a rainstorm and you have delamination, you have water damage on your roof. That's why having the new RVs inspected, I think, are super important just as much as the used, because you just never know what you're going to find. If I go to a place where it's a prior owner, not a dealership, and I am inspecting, they always try to tell me like how great it is and how wonderfully it's been cared for, blah, blah, blah. But then I get up on the roof and I look, and there's just massive holes in the sealant up there. And then I go down into the actual RV and I find a huge amount of water damage. So I just recently looked at one. I was looking under the slide because I'm always checking under the slide, and I look for kind of rust or water stains there or signs of rot. And sure enough, I saw signs of rot. And then I went inside, and along the bottom of the sides of the slide wall, I saw all these water stains near the bottom of it. So it was clear that there had been massive water damage there. I check for like detectors, for instance, and I will unscrew the detector and I will find sometimes missing wires, or it's not connected at all. And I test out all of the outlets in the kitchen and every room in the RV. And I have gone in and put in my tester, and there's no voltage at all, so that the connection is not even made. There is no voltage at one outlet could have voltage and another outlet could not have voltage. Underneath, there's been cracks in axles. There have been wires that are loose and hanging for the brakes. Now, if somebody were to drive away and then those brake lines end up having friction and getting torn, then you're not going to have wiring to your electric brakes while you tow. And that's extremely dangerous. They're simple fixes that could have been made after an inspection at a dealership, but if they don't get inspected and they get missed, then somebody is in a whole lot of trouble. Small little repairs can lead to thousands of dollars of damage down the road. If you're looking at finding super quality, you want to look for the companies that have a real passion in it. Like I have a Lazy Days. I know that the Lazy Days company was a small company in California. They're no longer open. They cared a lot for their creation and their quality. And I know that these are solid. But it also, there was a 2-year waiting list because they spent so much time on these RVs. They cared about their product. You have to be a person that is okay with waiting for your RV to be built if you go with a smaller company like that. Otherwise, you're going to go with the companies that are mass producing. I would look for something that's really well taken care of that's actually older, because the price doesn't match the quality you're getting right now, depending on the type of RV that you want that has been really cared for. Somebody that's selling it, a prior owner that you can talk to, so it would be more of a private sale rather than a dealership sale. You can see the paperwork where they did all of the maintenance on there every year, and they can show you the receipts, and you know that they really cared for their RV. They loved it. That is the way to go if you're looking for something that you're actually going to get what you paid for. Are you willing to wait to find the right thing? You want to do your research. A lot of my clients that come to me for inspection, they've done a lot of their research. They will know the year and the make and the model. They will understand what chassis it had for that year. They will understand what transmission, if it's a motorhome. They go on Facebook groups and they're looking at forums that way to try to see if there's any potential problems or what year there was a potential problem. And I think doing your research is super, super important. And I advise anybody that's going out there to get an RV to do their research on it. Still hire an inspector, because it doesn't matter. It could be the best year for the best RV. If you don't have an inspection, you are taking a risk that you're still going to have something that hasn't been put together properly, or as it was transported down the road, when it gets transported to the dealership and it's shaking down the road, things could have come loose and they may not have found it at the dealership level. What happened during the COVID period, the demand went up so high that they were just putting these things together and putting them out there. And we had supply issues. We had lack of employees, so lack of workers. And if you have a high turnover of people, of employees, you have a lot of new people out there doing the installations and stuff. At the manufacturer level, they weren't even able to finish some of these RVs. And then they were sent over to the dealership, and the dealership techs were having to finish these up. So there were things that were missed. I think that we're getting past some of the COVID mess. I think that the bulk of the problems were in those years. If you're looking at the sticker, even though it's a 2020 RV, it may have been built in 2019, so that's still okay. But if you're looking at a 2021 model, those were typically built in 2020 and so on. I think that we're starting to see a little bit of improvement. There's still some supply issues. It still is difficult, but I think they've found some ways to work around some of this. One thing I do want to talk about is the dealerships allowing inspectors. I've had really good experiences with most of the dealerships, but I did have a situation where one of the dealerships sort of got agitated with me because of some of the things I was finding during the inspection. I think that sometimes they get overwhelmed because the customer has demands and they're trying to bend over backwards for the customer, and then they want this inspector to come in and they just roll their eyes knowing that this other person's going to come in and find things, and they just want to make their sale. I understand that, and we are both trying to service the customer. So what I'm trying to do with my business is I really want to have a good relationship with the dealerships, have a good relationship with the managers there, so that they understand that I'm working for my client just like they are working for my client. We both have the same end goal, and if we can work together, we can help each other, because ultimately if the client walks away happy with having an inspection and having a good sale from the dealership, then they're happy. They're a happy client, and they're going to give them kudos for having a good experience at that dealership. I do RV certified inspections. I do a little bit of tech, just small repairs. I travel, and I'm mainly in Arizona, and then I travel to Michigan. If you want to know where I'm at, you can go onto my website. I always update it so that I can let people know what state I'm in. If you are looking for another inspector, say in another state, you can go onto the website nrvia.org, and there's a locator there where you can find an inspector in the area that you're looking for an RV. And everybody is really great. The inspectors were well trained, they're very qualified, and most of us love what we're doing.
If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share, and let me know in the comments any RV shopping tips that you have. As always, if RV life is calling you, I hope you come out here and give it a try.